Okay.
I've not got the
I'll get the.
thing in the bottom right.
It says you're
Normally it
stream.
has to like.
Says you're streaming for 9 seconds.
Oh, right.
Live now. Live. I think said he hears me. Wait,
Okay. Well, I'm going to
now?
assume that we're going. Is it all right? All right. I think we're good.
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you. We're good. We're good.
All right. Nice. Okay. Welcome back to SLR F1. Sorry for the delay there. Just a few technical issues. But we are back once again. Friday night, Division 1. It's myself, Ham, as usual. But this week I'm not joined by Jam. I'm in fact joined by Midzi. So good evening to you, Midzi, on your commentary debut.
Yeah, thank you. Looking forward to it. I pretty well lived up to James's standards, but I'll give it my best shot.
All right then. So last week in Vietnam, action-packed race. Unfortunately, without the safety car, but it is back on this week. So I don't know, don't know whether it'll be a good thing if it makes an appearance, but it is back on this weekend, so we may see an appearance from it. But the race was won by Jitto on debut in the Williams after being moved up from Division 2. Solid drive from him. Led from, well, pretty much about lap 8, I think, to the end after Kevin pitted and then made a bit of a mistake. And then the podium was rounded out by SLR McEwen on the 2-stop strategy and SLR Kolka making her debut as a reserve this season. Tonight then, it is China, round 4 of the season. The championship is currently being led by SLR Ranga, who is, I believe, on 43 points. Are we going to see more of the same, do you think, Midzi? We're going to see another strong showing from Ranga. He's been looking pretty good so far. Bit of a mistake last week resulted in him crashing out. But other than that, I think he's definitely one to watch, as is Kevin, as is Jitto. So what do you think? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, like judging, we just had a practice session not long before the actual race, or the actual quality session, but Ranga looks fairly quick. And it's known as a bad track, so I reckon he'll definitely be up there again. But then obviously we have, I reckon Jitto will definitely be one to watch, especially he looks very quick once again. So yeah, should be very interesting.
Yeah, we've got a few guys out on track for their outlaps. Just currently on board with JH, as I think he's going to be the first driver to say a lap. So we'll stay on board with him and watch his lap. So this is the first lap of China this weekend. Here we go. Opens the DRS then up to 8th gear. Long right-hander for turn 1. Pretty tricky corner. Got to sort of feed the throttle through it whilst braking. And then following it through for the chicane. Turns 2 and 3, easy on the power here, don't want to lose the back end, just about keeping it in a straight line through the first sector split, down into heavy braking zone, turn 5. Back out again on the throttle, want to be pretty careful again not to get that wheel spin through turn 6, long left-hander, straight into turn 7, right-hander now, and then feeding it back round for turns 8 and 9, double apex left-hander. Want to use the curbs as much as you can, obviously without invalidating. Doing pretty well so far. And then into, I think this turns 10 and 11. Long right-hander here. Again, want to be feeding the throttle, making sure you get a good exit as he runs a little bit wide there, JH. So perhaps not the optimal line through there, but nevertheless not too bad. He's got a bit of traffic that he's coming up to, so hopefully that doesn't impede him as the Red Bull just moves out of the way, so he's going to be alright. Then heavy braking down into this hairpin here, braking just around the 100 meter board. Second gear, again easy on the traction on the way out. Into the final corner here, want to be careful of the track limits and that curve. And JH has unfortunately fallen victim to them. across the line. It was a 31.7, not a bad lap up until that invalidation, but it is instantly beaten, and beaten convincingly by Jitto in the Williams, who puts in a 29.8. That is a very impressive lap, it has to be said.
Yeah, I was right on board with Jitto there for part of the lap. It was a very, very good clean lap, and very quick as well, especially for Q1. I think he'll be comfortably through, to be honest, straight away.
Yeah, I'd have to agree, as he's been followed across the line by Jib Jab and Kolka, 30.4 and 30.6 for them respectively, and then his teammate SLR a second back.
Oh, I mean.
So I think, given that some of these drivers generally are the ones near the top, I think Jitto will definitely be safe. And as you say, Midzi, Owen, I think has he crashed there?
What's going on?
I think he's out of the session, isn't he?
And the Haas, I think they've all lost it coming out the long right hander. I think they've, not sure what's happened. I think they've lost it on the traction. I think Owen's lost it and he's gone straight into the wall. Zen almost followed him, and Kevin almost followed him as well.
Okay then, so it looks as though some of these drivers having a few troubles early on. So maybe that turn 11 is going to prove a bit of an issue here for the drivers. It's not exactly the nicest corner, given that you're sort of having to feed the throttle around it while sort of, optimizing the exit onto that back straight, and it does seem as though it is providing a bit of a challenge early on here in this quali session. Going to go on board now with Dart Zenon, second in the championship currently, one-time race winner this season at Bahrain. Some pretty solid performances from him thus far, and again I'm sure he'll be looking to just keep the points ticking over here heading into the fourth round of the season. We've got a few more drivers now setting laps. Predators rounding up those that have set a competitive lap on a 30.9, but at the moment looking fairly close. All the drivers within 1.1 seconds of one another. Obviously, Zen loses back end. Yeah, sorry, Mizzy.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I was just on board with Zen, and I think especially after that spin, his tyres are not going to be feeling too happy. So I'm going to be very surprised if he manages to set a good lap here. So he might have to come in and put another fresh set of softs on as he steps down.
I think you're right. Yeah, back end looks like it's all over the place here. So I wonder if that is maybe a bit to do with the setup as well. I know the rears can overheat quite easily around here if you've not got those tyre pressures down. I was just going to mention that obviously we've only got 19 drivers tonight, and Owen is already out, so we're only going to actually be losing 3 of the drivers in this session. So that might take a bit of some of the drivers here. Obviously, with sort of less drivers going out, they may want to save a set of tyres for the next qualifying session, as Kevin has gone P2 and he's got very close there to the time of Jitto, just over half a tenth off him. So again, Kevin's showing some pretty strong pace in qualifying.
Yeah, especially after his spin as well, to come back and set a lap like that. He's shown he's got some really good pace, potentially to match Jitto.
Who have we got on a lap? Jumpush. Here we go. So then, one of the newest drivers into SLR, Jumpush. I believe he is French, and he's also a reserve for tonight. 24.1 first sector. Looking like he's having a slight bit of connection trouble there, but nothing too bad. Stay on board with him for the rest of the lap. So it's obviously good to see another new driver joining the league, as well as a French driver. I'm not sure if we've actually got any French drivers in the league, or if we do, not many. So here we go, Jumpush, representing France, as well as the Renault team for tonight. Obviously won't be scoring any constructors points as he's a reserve, but he can score some points for himself should he get into the top 10 come the end of the race.
He's jolting around a little bit, isn't he? On board.
Yeah, I think it will definitely be something to keep an eye on. It's not too bad at the moment, but maybe in full racing conditions it won't be ideal. He's just rounding the final couple of corners now. Oh, he's gone very wide though at the final corner. He's gone wide.
Southerners as well, just coming on to
So,
finish that lap.
yeah.
And
Alright,
Bland's schematic. Sorry, I'm not going to bother with that game tag. I did validate as well.
we'll call him Bland.
Yeah.
Southerners then goes P3, 30.2. I've just noticed as well another reserve in the Renault Tonight race roller has gone P4, so impressive lap from them. It seems as though a few of the drivers then are struggling a little bit with the track limits at that final corner. Obviously, it's quite a fast corner in terms of you know, the speed that you carry through, and I guess they're just wanting to try and find the limit and maybe just pushing a bit too much and running onto that Astro and getting it invalidated, as it does seem as though the track limits around that final corner are pretty strict compared to what the drivers can seemingly do in real life. As I'll just flick over to the championship leader then, SLR Rangat, who is on a flying lap.
I think he's at 23.8 per sector. That's not bad for a sector.
It's coming up to a bit of traffic though, so hopefully that won't affect him too much, although I think he might get a big wash of dirty air then through this long right-hander. That won't be ideal for him. It's the racing point of Southerners just ahead. It shouldn't be too bad actually, because Southerners did just about, well, he was just far enough ahead I think, and he's actually getting a bit of a tow here, Ranga, off of his teammate. So division in the sister Red Bull, giving his teammate a tow there, so that's going to be helpful to Ranga. I mean, I'm not sure if he'll necessarily need it, but you never know, as he's just coming around the final corner now. Again, probably not the optimal line through there. Slightly missing the apex, but as you say, mid 130, P8. So Red Bulls then line astern, 8th and 9th.
There's quite a few invalidations as well, Harry. I noticed Tooman was on that. He's gone into the pits. Jumper's obviously invalidated. Monkey's back out again after invalidating. There's quite a few struggling with, like you said, struggling with the track limits. But Monkey's currently on the lap as well, so is the division.
Yeah, just on board Monkey. And actually, it's somewhat surprising, I think, that the drivers are struggling with the track limits. I mean, obviously, I'm not trying to be too harsh on them, but it is really only that final corner, pretty much, that you can sort of pick up a warning. There's one corner, I think, just coming up as we're on board with Monkey. He's losing the back end as well for turn 7. I think it's this corner coming up here, the second left-hander here, where you might struggle a little bit just running slightly wide onto the Astro there. But other than that, really, it's not too bad for track limits. But obviously, when the drivers are pushing as they are in quali, you might find them picking up a warning or two, as Monkey's just gone onto the curb there on the outside of the long right-hander, and that's going to definitely hamper his exit down onto the straight. Tricky corner to get right, especially on entry, as I feel like the entry really is the most important part of it, as you want to sort of get the line right so that you can, well, sort of optimise the line through the corner. Other than that, though, it doesn't seem too bad for Monkey, but again, he's running quite wide, getting quite a bit of understiff by the looks of things, so I wonder if that's perhaps a bit of a setup issue from the Alfa Romeo driver, but he is going to come across the line now. It's a 30.8, puts himself P10, so at the moment looking pretty good, although having said that, we do still have 5 drivers yet to set a lap time.
I just noticed as well, Harry, it's very close all the way from, even from Preds all the way down to Southerners. 10 drivers there, only separated by just over 7 tenths. Very close for Q1.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's something that we've been seeing in all the divisions really throughout the season, that the drivers do seem to be, as Rixie, sorry, is just on his, he's on an outlap, sorry. Yeah, so in all the divisions really, it does seem as though it's a matter of a tenth or two really that can make or break someone's quali session. We've definitely been seeing it in Elite. Obviously, I know firsthand, as I've fallen victim to that in Australia, as Rixie's just going to come up to Tooman coming through turn 1, and that is not great there. Tooman, unfortunately, getting out of the way of the first McLaren of Zenon, but not getting out of Rixie's way, and that has definitely impeded Rixie, and he's going to have to back out on this lap and go again. So we'll flick over to Zenon, who's on his lap.
10.5 up as well for his first sector. So if he can keep it together.
I've just seen in the chat as well, Freeman reckoning the cut-off's going to be around a 30.8. I think given the position of the drivers on a 30.8 at the moment, that probably isn't a bad shout. But obviously we've still got 5 drivers yet, or 6 really if you include Zenon, yet to set competitive laps. So that may change in a few moments as we've got the top 3 now all retiring. So they all feel that they're safe, and I think I'd agree with them. I think if you're getting into the 29s in Q1, you're looking pretty good.
Yeah.
Summoners, of course, just into the low 30s. Zenon running quite wide as well, out of the hairpin. Notice that with a few drivers now. But takes a pretty nice line there through the final corner.
Sorry, Harry. I was going to say he's really struggling for that right hander again. Coming into sector 3, he's definitely got a lot of time to find, but still, it's still a very good lap.
Yeah, so Zenon put himself P10, just above what a few of the guys in the chat reckon the cut-off's going to be. So he might be all right. Riggsy's had to pit again, so I think unfortunately he's going to have to put on another set of tyres, which, you know, may come to cost him later on in the quali session. He should have enough time to come back out, as should the Renault driver of Jumpush. They're both still in the pits at the moment. We'll go on board with Tooman then, who on his outer lap unfortunately did seem to impede Riggsy, but we won't go on about it too much, as obviously there's a long way to go, and that we'll leave that to the stewards to make their minds up should Riggsy want to send that in. But he is looking pretty good through the first sector, but runs quite deep there into turn 5, I think. I'm gonna keep getting them wrong. I think it's turn 5. But yeah, 23.8 first sector, as you mentioned earlier on in the quali session, Midzi. That's seemingly not a bad time. Tooman definitely trying to push the boat with the limits here a bit, as he's running quite wide at a few of these corners, trying to optimise the track. Pretty decent so far though. He's looking to get through to Q2.
Pretty decent middle sector as well, 50.9. He's on around Wrangler's pace at the moment.
Okay, so we should expect to see Tooman jump into around the top 10. Ranga's retired as well on a 30.6. So is that overly confident from him, or is it going to be a inspire calls, keep a set of tyres fresh as Tooman goes P8 on a 30.4. Ranga might be in a bit of trouble here actually, Midzi, as we've got Zenon, Division, Monkey, JH, Jumpush and Riggsy, so all the drivers below him, obviously bar Owen, out on laps. This could be a big risk from Ranga.
Noticed JH as well, he's just improved, but only to a 31.0, so I think he might be struggling as well. I mean, he's not far off, he's only got a couple of attempts to find, but he's clearly not suiting too well to China at the moment.
Yeah, Zenon as well is 2.5 tenths down, so he might be in a bit of trouble as well. It does seem as though the tyres are really only good for one flying lap, so I think Zenon's gone again on this set, and it doesn't seem to be working for him. I'll quickly flick over to Riggsy, as he's about to start a lap, and one of only 2 actually yet to set a lap in this session. As I think Zenon has backed out on his lap, he did seem to sort of be lifting off going into the hairpin. So here we go then, on board with Riggsy and the McLaren, yet to set a lap thus far in the session. But you and I both know, obviously, Midzi, we know Riggsy. We know that he's got the pace to get through. So whether he can just hook up a lap.
It certainly does.
Losing the back end though slightly through turn 4. It's not going to be ideal for him. But I think, as we've seen with quite a few of these drivers, they've not been the cleanest of laps that we've seen so far. And as you said, JH is going to be struggling because JH is out. Isn't going to be able to set another lap as Riggsy runs wide and goes on to the runoff, invalidates his lap. So Riggsy as well is going to be out, which means that the only driver that can affect the rest of this session is going to be Jumpush in the Renault. Everyone else is through at the moment. Monkey and Division both on laps though, so even if Jumpush gets through, he might not be safe. He crossed the line. It's only a 32 flat, so it's not going to be good enough to get through. Monkey and Division both safe. They might not know it though, as obviously Riggsy is behind them. So Monkey's going to come around to finish his lap. It won't matter what he does. In fact, he can't even improve. Can Division? Division's 3/10 time as well. So neither driver improving. So a bit of a risk there for them, but they're going to get through. And yeah, okay, Division has damage. All right, I wonder how he's managed that.
Yeah. So I was just as you was on board with Riggs, I was flicked as a yellow flag, and he lost it again. I think it was on the right hand at the start. So it appears quite a few drivers are struggling with the traction.
Yeah, I wonder if they're perhaps just track might be a bit green or something. They're just waiting for it to rubber in or whatever, the track to get a bit better. So Ranga does get through then. So it turned out to be a bit of an inspired call there to save a set of tyres. As did his teammate Division, he managed to get through as well. 4 drivers are out and will take no further part in this qualifying session. They are JH, Jumpush, SLR Owen, who unfortunately crashed, and Riggsy, who will start behind him after failing to set a valid lap time. So that's unfortunate for Riggsy, but he's definitely got the race pace, and in fact starting from the back around China might not be the worst thing given the nature of turn 1. It can always cause an incident or two, but it is Jitto, early pace setter, closely followed by Kevin, and Southerners P3 in this first quality session. Just waiting for a few of these drivers, I think, to retire, and then we'll be able to get through to the Q2 session.
Yeah, I know it's only early days as well, but it's quite a noticeable gap from the top 2 down to third. Down to Southerners, there's almost 4 attempts already. I know it's only Q1, but it's still quite a margin for Q1.
Yeah, it's definitely well, it's kind of carbon copy really of last week actually at Vietnam, where we had Jitto and Kevin definitely showing the strongest pace out of the drivers in the race. Obviously, unfortunately, Kevin having a bit of an incident or two. Jitto the opposite, as he ran away with it somewhat in the end. But yeah, once again, those two at the top. It's becoming a bit of a recurring theme for Kevin to definitely be showing the quali pace. Hopefully, sooner rather than later, he will be able to turn that quali pace into a strong performance in the race, as he's currently quite low down in the championship. I believe he's only on about 8 points. He's on 9 points at the moment, despite the fact that I think he could have at least a couple of wins this season. So it's really not representative of his pace there, his points tally. As we're just waiting for the session to end. Interesting fact for you: Predators managing to get through to qualifying 2, I think for the first time in a very very long time there, at least the last sort of 5 races or so. So good job from him. He was P6 actually in that Q1 session, so he's definitely got some good pace this weekend. A driver that doesn't have the quali pace, I'm sure he won't mind me saying, but he's definitely got the race pace, as he's currently P7 in the championship on 21 points. So good showing from Predators.
Yeah, and also is that race roller reserve, isn't he?
Yeah, race roller is a reserve.
Yeah, he was P4 then in Q1, so very good showing. Like I said once again, it's only Q1, but very strong showing. 5 attempts off Jitto, showing that he has some decent pace early on.
Yeah, that's good to see though. Obviously, I mean, as we know, quali pace isn't everything. As in fact, I don't think we've had a pole sitter win in Elite this season. I'm not sure if it's been the case with Div 1, although in fact I think it has as well. So in both those two divisions, off the top of my head, the pole sitter has not gone on to win any of the races so far, as Jumpush has left the session, so I wonder if he's having some connection issues. We've got quite a split in terms of tyres here, Midzy. About half the grid on the softs and the other half on the mediums. I think the strategy does sort of lean towards the mediums to hards, a one-stop, over the softs to hards. As I kind of mentioned in the Q1 session, the softs do seem to be a bit more of a qualifying tyre, whereas the mediums do seem to have that performance in the race. I know the softs do overheat quite easily around here, as well as the wear being quite high. So just thinking what your thoughts are in terms of strategy.
Yeah, I think I preferably it'd be the mediums, the hards. But if they can make the tyres last even 5-6 laps into the race, they can keep good pace, then they can potentially make the softs the hard work. Or you might even see a 2-stop.
Yeah, especially with the safety car being back on for this week. Obviously, that does perhaps make a 2-stop a bit more manageable if there's a well-timed safety car or virtual safety car for that matter. It could mean that a 2-stopper comes into play. As onboard Predators, as he's the first driver on a lap, he's on the mediums, so I wonder if that is going to be his tyre of choice to start the race on. As I think that's the other thing with starting on the softs, you really do need the track position. If you're starting, P5 behind 4 mediums runners on the softs, it's not really going to be to your advantage. So it all just depends on pretty much, I think, where you start on the grid, especially if you're trying to do the one stop.
Yeah, I just noticed as well, Harry. Bland in the Alpha right behind Prez is also on the lap, and it's not getting any slower. So hopefully they don't end up coming together.
Yeah, interesting from the Alfa Romeo driver. I mean, he's going to get a bit of a toe down here, but it probably wouldn't have been ideal for him through that middle sector especially. So it'll be interesting to see what sort of lap time he sets compared to Predators. And yeah, I had kind of noticed that because I'd seen Predators go through that middle sector split, and he wasn't purple, so I was like, who's ahead of him or something. Bland has seemingly got some sort of connection issues, as well as he's just been put back to the pits and left the session. Unfortunately, he won't be able to get an invite back due to the new restrictions put in place by the league owners. It was a step taken to try and sort of avoid any game glitches that may occur with inviting people back to the lobby. He will be re-invited for the race, so I think we will have to be making a new lobby. But it's just something that we've decided to do as a league to sort of make sure that there aren't any glitches carried over from the quali session to the race. Predators is going again as well on the set of mediums. He was just over a tenth and a half up through the first. He's nearly 3.5 tenths up through the middle sector. Jib Jab's gone quickest on the softs, 30.7 for him.
I think I know what they're doing, Harry. I think they're so many people go out on mediums. They're going to see what the pace is like on the mediums and see what the others do coming towards the end of the session. If they're going to go out softs, I reckon.
Yeah, I think you're right with that one. I don't know what I'd do if I was in that position though. If I was a bit concerned whether my lap was good enough to get through, whether I'd go out on the softs, because I mean it's not necessarily the ideal strategy for the race, as Predators goes P4 31.5, but I mean, excuse me, as I mentioned, obviously if there's a safety car or something, it could, play right back into the hands of one of these drivers. Racer Roller in the Renault gone P5, Colker's P6. They're separated by just 200ths. We've got 10 drivers so far setting laps. Kevin's on an out lap. He's on the softs, so that's going to be interesting actually. Kevin opting... Oh no, he's on the medium, sorry. That is my bad. He's on the mediums. So I was going to say that would be interesting to see in terms of strategy, because he opted to do the 2-stop last week, whereas the race winner Gisso did a 1. So yeah, I was going to say it would have been interesting if they'd gone for the split strategies again. They may very well still do that, but as it stands, they're both going to try and set laps on the mediums by the looks of things. Kevin does seem to have the touch in quali thus far. Throughout the season, he's already managed 2 poles at Australia and Vietnam, so he's got a 67% pole rate at the moment. Oh, has he lost the back end? I've jinxed him. Commentator curse, he's lost the back end through turn 7, and that is, well, hopefully that's not too bad for the tyres. It's certainly not ideal, as they will probably have overheated a little bit But I think he'll be alright to go again, as hopefully he's not going to impede that racing point. I think it's Tooman. Is he on a lap?
Oh, Harry, I think Friggins asked you to check the stream chat.
Alright, I will do just that. I'm not sure if Tooman was on a lap. If he was, he's backed off. What are we saying? Stream chat.
Apparently my voice is cracking quite a bit, but I'm not sure what I can really do.
Nah, I mean, I think that's more of an issue with the comms. I can't actually see anything from Freeman at the moment. Oh, Messenger, alright. So bear with. Yeah, okay. Alright, I know what I'm doing now. It's alright. Let's try and get back to... Where are we, Midzi? Where are we? What's going on?
I just noticed the race roller just is on another lap on the mediums. I think as well, Harry, to point out, I think you can get away with setting a couple of laps on the mediums, because preferably as well, I noticed again on the mediums, like that second lap proves like the mediums just feel much more rubbered into the track. As Perez proved, he went 3 tenths quicker on his second lap, so that might also be another thing. Maybe a few laps on the mediums, getting more gripped into the track, setting better times.
Yeah, I'd have to agree, because I mean, as we see, prime example of that, Racer Roller's just gained 4.5 tenths and gone P3, fastest lap set by anyone on the mediums at the moment. The wear on the mediums, especially in quali, really isn't that bad. It's only 2-3% a lap, and the hards can do well very long distance in the race. So if you're doing the mediums, the hards tyre wear really isn't an issue. As well as that, the tyre temperatures on the mediums are quite a bit lower than the softs. So perhaps if these drivers are going for a couple of laps on the mediums, then the temperatures are a bit better on that second run, and that may also help. As obviously you don't really want cold tyres on your quali lap. I believe Jitto's on a lap, and he's obviously one to watch as he's gone purple through sector 1. Don't know if that's to himself or whether that's to everyone. Fastest time so far currently set by Jib Jab in the Ferrari. Ranger's P2 in the Red Bull. See where Jitto can put himself, as obviously he set a 29.8 on the softs in Q1. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets close to Jib Jab in Q2, as he's gone purple through the second sector as well, but big lock up there into turn 10. That's going to hamper his line through turn 11, so that won't help, but it's not going to be too bad, I don't think. We lost about a tenth or so, I think, from that, but not too bad in the long run.
I think he's on for a similar sort of time to Wrangler by the looks of the split, the second sector.
Oh, another big lock up there on the front right this time. As I know why we've got 19 drivers as well. I forgot clock is.
I don't have fuel.
I can't have fuel.
Yeah,
Oh no.
I don't have fuel.
Yeah, I just noticed that. I'd seen him go through the final corner and sort of slow down, and I was thinking, what is he? Is he, not happy with his lap? Is he going to go again? But no, he's run out of fuel. So, bit of a mistake there, perhaps on Jitto's part. I was just going to say, I know I've got 19 in the lobby. It's because the other AlphaTauri of Sotia Clock is he's just going to miss quali. He's I think he's just had another commitment, so he'll be in for the race, but he's just missed quali. Jitto should, I think, have enough time, touch wood, to get back to the pits, put some more fuel in and go again, but it's certainly put him on the back foot here, as he's currently down in P13. We missed Kevin go P7 on set of mediums himself. Kolka as well has gone P2, just a bit behind Jib Jab in the Mercedes, but it is still Racer Roller in the Renault who's set the fastest time so far on the mediums. Oh no, Ranger's on the mediums, sorry. Ranger's got the fastest time on the mediums, but Racer Roller is very close behind. All of these drivers do seem to have the softs fitted, so I think you were right about that, Midsi. It does seem as though these guys are sort of making sure if anyone's going to go back out on softs. Predator's gone back out on his mediums again. Jib Jab's actually going to be cutting it fine here, so I wonder if he's going to get back around. It's going to be tight.
He's putting himself under quite a bit of pressure as well. So now he's obviously, depending what he wants to do, he's only going to get one lap. If he gets time, it's going to be very close.
Yeah, and it's also very close within that top 10 as well. I mean, it's less than a second separating 3rd to 10th, which is in fact both the Red Bulls. So it's, as you say, it's going to be a bit of a gamble, I think, whatever Jitto does, and I'm not sure he's going to make it. 2:50 on the clock, and he's not even in the pits yet. It's going to be very tight. Plus his teammate of Liam is also just coming into the pits, so the Williams drivers here might trip over each other. And
no, he won't. He won't make it.
He's not going to make it.
2 minutes 30. No, not enough time.
And that is awful luck then for Jitto. I think perhaps a bit of an error of judgment on his part, though, not realising that he was running out of fuel. Should have pulled off into the pits when he had the chance, and I think that is going to be last week's race winner out in quali, which is a real shame because he definitely had the pace to be right up there come the end of Q3.
Exactly, and you can see as well, I think a few more people are choosing the soft tyres now, but it'll still be interesting to see if they're going to go out and set laps. See Tooman, Kevin's out on the soft tyres. Yeah,
we've got the top 5 all still in the pits. As well as 9th, 10th and 11th. I think some of these guys aren't even going to go out again by the looks of things. Kevin and Tooman, as you say, out on the softs. But they might not even need to set these laps, provided that no one else... In fact, no one else is going to be able to go out. That's it then. So it's just these drivers that are out on track now then that are going to be the ones that can affect the remainder of this qualifying session. So if I just switch over to the best laps, so Ranga on the mediums, P3 at the moment, he's retired, so he's happy with what he's got. Top 2 on softs, Monkey, Division, Liam all retiring then, so Liam's going to be starting P11 at best, but that might not be the worst thing. Fresh tyres obviously off the start. And if you look at who's on out laps, Jitto's going back out, but he's not going to be able to set a lap, as the session will come to an end before he gets back around. Zenon's on an out lap, Summers is on a lap now, so it's only those two that can push anyone out of the top 10. So Predators in P8 should be safe, provided... Well, he's definitely safe now because he's just gone P7 ahead of Kevin. I think everyone inside that top 8 should be safe. So it's really only Summers and Zenon that can affect this session. Zenon's, I think, waiting right to the death to go and start his lap, as there he is as we're on board with Summers. So the Racing Point just passing the McLaren driver there. I wonder if Tooman was trying to give his teammate a tow there. I think instead he's going to block him. So Tooman, I think, blocking another driver here. I don't want to be too critical, but that is pretty shocking. And Summers just go P9. So I think Summers has just about done enough, but I don't think he'll be best pleased there with his inverted commas teammate. Not really being a mate there, but there you go. So Zenon on a lap now. He, as I mentioned, is the only driver that's going to be able to affect this session. So Summers is safe, despite not being helped by Tooman. So Zenon's gone onto the softs as well. So he's he's chancing his arm here. He's going to see if he can get through on the soft compound tyres. I think he obviously feels that he hasn't got the pace on the mediums, so he's going to try and do the alternate strategy here, and it may very well pay off for him. Did the alternate strategy in Bahrain, got himself a win out of it, so it may not be the worst thing in the world here. And he might not have to push his maximum here to get through, as the 7/10ths that he's currently up would easily be enough, so he can perhaps take it a bit easier here. And he did seem to have a bit of a lift there through turn 11, so I wonder if he's just trying to conserve the tyres a little bit and make sure that they're not too worn when it comes to the start of the race. Well, he's really lifting there as he goes completely off the throttle down the back straight.
Just to point out as well, Harry, I know it's in hindsight, but if Southerners got held up just a fraction more, he's going to slow him down. Alright, slow him down. I was going to say, if Zenon did finish that lap and Southerners was just a fraction bit slow, he would have been out, because if he'd been behind the monkey and then Zenon would have jumped he would have 100% jumped all them, and it would have put Southerners out. So that's very lucky.
Yeah,
The racing
Southerners
point.
then just managing to get through. Zenon backing off of his lap, so I think Zenon obviously feels that the softs aren't the way to go in the race, and he'd rather sacrifice a bit of track position to go for the better strategy, which is, I'd say, the right call, but some may disagree. But if we look then at the tyre choice, it's Jib Jab and Colker on the softs, everyone else in the top 10, everyone else in the top 14 opting for the mediums. Bland was unable to set a lap, so I think given what we've seen here, mediums are the way to go, but you never know, Jib Jab and Colker could make the softs to hards or a two-stop strategy work. But given that Ranga, Race Roller, and McEwen were all, 5-6 tenths off them on the harder compounded tyres, I think they'll definitely be, within a shout of pole. So we're just waiting, I think, for Zenon to retire. So now's probably a good time actually to get in your predictions for pole. I think Jitto would have been a good bet, but obviously he's out. I think Kevin as well will be a shout. Ranga as well. I think the usual suspects. What do you think, Mitzi?
Yeah, I was quite interested by that. Like Kevin was right with Jitto in Q1, and I know he's not far off Ranga at all, but I thought it'd be a bit quicker on the medium. So yeah, I think it's anyone, to be honest. I think it would be. Although saying that, I do still want to stick with Kevin, to be honest, because it might just be he's not too comfortable on the mediums. But I think he'll put it out on the softs. So I'm going to stick with Kevin again.
Yeah, I think I'd have to agree with you. In fact, I was going to say something pretty similar. I was going to suggest that perhaps his setup maybe isn't the best for the mediums, but that might not be ideal for the race if Kevin's got perhaps a bit more of a quali setup. But you never know. We know he's got the pace, so hopefully for him that shouldn't matter. Anyway, we're just getting now into this Q3 session. Baggy's going for Kevin, Ranga or Jib Jab, so he's covering quite a few bases there. He's got a third of the drivers there. Miko saying Ranga, so Ranga's getting a lot of love. Jord going for Ranga as well. Czech says Jitto's out. Correct, Jitto is out. That's big. It is big. Big news. Jitto out. He was definitely one to watch. I'm sure he'll try and make a recovery in the race though. We know he's a quick driver, so I'm sure he'll be looking to make amends in the races. We've got Kevin. I think he's going to be the first driver out, just ahead of the Mercedes of SLR Colker. As we're seeing quite a few now just coming out of the pits, going for their first runs here.
Yeah, no,
whole time as well, actually. Anyone?
That's what I was going to say. How
Yeah.
would you reckon? Was he a low 29?
Well, it was a 29.8 in Q1. I think the track does, tend to get better, obviously, throughout the sessions. I think somewhere around maybe a 29.4, 29.3. I think if we see anything lower, it's definitely going to be a very good lap. I mean, from personal experience, I think the best lap I've done is a 29.3, albeit I've not perhaps done a great deal of practice. But yeah, anyway, enough about that. I think anything in the low 29s is definitely a very good lap. So I'm going to say 29. I'm going to say 29.3.
Yeah, I can agree with you there. I can say. Monkey choosing not to come out either. Everyone else has come out. Monkey just leaving it a little bit longer. Perhaps he's only got one set of softs from a. I think he did use 2 in Q1. That'll explain why.
Yeah, as well, quite a lot of these drivers going quite slowly on their out laps. That is something that I think you want to try and do, given that the temperatures on the softs do kind of skyrocket throughout the duration of the lap. And then obviously that will give you understeer. Especially I was noticing getting towards turn 11, the long right-hander, getting understeer through there is really not ideal. So you do want to sort of get the temps as low as you really sort of can afford to. So we've just seen a yellow flag. That's just someone slowing down. Yeah, you want to try and get the temps as low as you really can afford to sort of optimise the tyre performance throughout the lap. Kevin setting a purple sector 1. Unfortunately, I didn't have the timing up, so my apologies for that. But it's looked pretty decent so far. Not losing the back end there through turn 7, which he did have a bit of trouble with earlier on in the qualifying session. Bit of a lock up on the front and left, but nothing too concerning here. Using as much of the track as he really can afford to. Keeping it within the limits. Again, a bit of a lock up on that front left tyre here. Now coming around, long right hander turn 11. Very nice through there though, very quick on the power, very smooth. He'll have a good exit down onto this back straight. Opening the DRS then. Definitely going for it, and it just looks like a pretty good lap so far. And he's braking just around the 100 metre board. Lock up on the front right again, so a couple of lock ups here from Kevin, so there perhaps is a bit of time in these braking zones for him to find. But other than that, it's been a pretty good lap so far. Keeping it within the limits around the final corner, across the line, 30.3 on his first run. So 30.3, yep, sorry, I thought that was a 29.3. 30.3 on his first run, so I think he's got a bit of time. Well, he definitely should have time on the board, because he set 29.8 in Q1. 29.8 is actually the pole time at the moment, provisional pole, that is SLR Colca. Yeah, I just kind of got a bit caught up there. I thought he'd done a 29.3. Racer Roller goes P1 on a 29.6, so that's a very good lap there from the Renault reserve driver for this week. Setting some very strong pace. McEwen as well, third driver now into the 29s on a 29.9. Monkey still in the pits, so I think you're right about him. He's only got that one set of tyres, I think, for this session. Yeah. So I wonder what's up with Kevin, because it didn't look like a bad lap by any means, really, from what I could tell. But 5 tenths off what he managed in Q1.
I think I just been on board. Like I was switching between him and Colca. I think he's just wasn't being as aggressive for some of the corners. Not as aggressive on the throttle coming out of corners, and not really attacking them as much as he could be. He's definitely got a lot of time there to find.
Yeah, just seen in the chat actually, Freeman saying shout out to Freds for getting into Q3 for the first time this season. So yeah, good job from Freds. Obviously, I mean, he hadn't even managed to get out of Q1 up until today, and he's got himself all the way into Q3. So that is yeah, mightily impressive there from the AlphaTauri driver. Monkey is on outlap now. I think everyone's just going to feed back into the pits. So Monkey's back out. Well, he's out probably for his only lap, you would think. So we'll see what he can do.
Yeah, just making sure everyone's going in. Yeah.
So far, pretty close. Top 8 within about 7 tenths of one another. In fact, just under 7 tenths of one another. Tuman, bit behind on a 30.9, but I'm sure he can go faster than that. I wonder if he was on a scrub set of tyres or something like that. So Monkey then just starting his lap. Most likely going to be his one and only run. So we'll go on board with him, see what he can do. Running a bit wide there through turn 1. But not too bad. Took a pretty nice line there through turns 2 and 3. Good on the power as well. Not losing the back end. Keeping it pretty smooth at the moment. 23.9 through the first sector. So it's not the fastest we've seen today, but it's not bad. Kevin is back out on an outlap as well. He's running it through the left-hander. Bit of a lift. Bit of a confidence lift, I think, on the throttle. As we've seen a few drivers perhaps struggling with the back end through turn 7. Through the double apex left-hander. Turns 8 and 9. Or 9 and 10, I think, sorry. Cutting quite a bit of that curb on the inside.
Ooh. Must have lost it again, going through there. So 50.9 in the sector as well. I think it's a couple of attempts down on what I saw from Colca. But still not bad at all.
So perhaps Monkey gonna be slotting into around that P4, P5 position. Although it's pretty close between all of those guys in and around that area. Coming around the final corner now. across the line. He's lost a bit of time then through that final sector. 30.5. So maybe that loss of the back end through the right-hander was pretty costly to his final sector. Kevin's just about to start a lap then. Currently down in P8, and he's not starting a lap, he's gone back into the pits. So interesting from Kevin. Wonder if he's just waiting for the timer to go down a bit more. We've got Kolka on an out lap. Jib Jab's on the lap as well, so we'll go to Jib Jab then as he's further on in the lap. In the Ferrari. Both Ferraris having some pretty good showings so far this season. They've definitely scored some solid points between the pair of them. Jib Jab's on 16, McEwen on 32. So yeah, solid points from the pair of them. Sure they'll be looking to add to that tally this week. Both through to Q3 yet again. Jib Jab taking a bit of a tighter line than what we saw from Monkey through the first couple of corners. I'd say it does seem a bit better. Is he slightly down actually on his first sector? And I'm sure he'll be finding some time throughout the rest of this lap. Taking a nice line there through the left-hander. It's looking pretty good so far from Jib Jab. Keeping it well within the limits. Perhaps could push it slightly more, but it's going to be a valid lap then. Well, at least at the moment it's going to be a valid lap. He is marginally up, 700ths up through the middle sector. Again, looking pretty good. Running slightly wide through the right-hander, but shouldn't be too detrimental there to his lap. Everyone now coming out on out laps. We've still got a couple of guys in the pits, so they're obviously going to try and wait, I think, till the last second. As Jib Jab's just rounding the final couple of corners then. What's this going to be? I think this is going to be his lap then.
Not bad.
For this session. 30.1, marginal improvement. Goes P5 just behind the Red Bull of Ranga. We've got Kolka as well on a lap, so we'll...
Oh, she's lost it.
Sorry,
she's lost it on the NS section. I think she lost the back end and through the first right-hander, where everyone seems to be struggling.
Yeah, that's a shame. I'm not sure if it would be ideal to go again, especially on those tyres. I just switched over and seen the gravel on the tyres, and I wonder if something had happened. Predators, though, he's on a lap as well. First Q3 appearance of the season. He's 3.5 tenths up then through this middle sector. So he's looking very good so far, but then a bit of an unorthodox line through there, taking quite a bit of the curb, and I don't think that's going to be ideal. I wonder if he's lost some time. I don't think he would have gained anything through there. But, I mean, that 3.5 tenths would put him right up into P2. So if he can find a bit more time through these final couple of corners, he could be getting close to the lap time of Race Roller here. Good line through the final corner. Coming up to the line now. It's going to be good. It's going to be very good. Very, very close to Race Roller. I wonder if that line through the right-hander perhaps is what is the difference at the moment. But Race Roller is 700ths up as well, though, through the middle sector. He's currently on provisional pole. Can he just extend that advantage that he currently has over Predators?
Just to point out as well, Harry, McEwen's on a very good lap. He's 3 tenths up as well.
Alright, we'll quickly get over to him then once Race Roll across the line. Easy on the power out of the hairpin. Good line though through the final corner. Coming up to the line now. What's it going to be? 29.5, so it's a 10.5 improvement for the Renault driver. Puts him on provisional pole, but McEwen then, what's he got to say about it? As Kevin goes P2 in the hat. McEwen crosses the line, he goes pole. 29.4, so just into the fours. Maybe I should have said 0.4 is for pole time, for the pole time.
Ranger's up as well.
Tuman's losing the back end through the middle sector. So
Ranger's up coming from the final corner.
Tuman's 7/10 up though. Ranger rounds across the line. Wow, so it's pretty close. 0.6 for Ranger P3. So 3 drivers there within 400 of one another, or just over.
They're all improving.
7/10 up. That will put him up to P8 as it stands. Southerners and Monkey, they're both on laps behind him, so Monkey I think did have another set of tyres.
They're both improving as well. Monkey's almost 2 tenths up, Southern's half a tenth up.
Alright then, so I don't think this is going to be the final order. Zooming across the line, 29.9 goes P7. Southerners across the line, 30.2, sorry, stays P9. Monkey, 30.3, he stays P10. So there you have it, SLR McEwen taking his first pole position of the season in the Ferrari. 29.499 is your pole time here tonight. Followed by the debutant, the reserve driver in the Renault of Race Roller. Solid showing from him, very strong performance thus far. And then it's Ranger, the championship leader, P3 on the grid in the Red Bull. Kevin, P4. I think this is in fact, it might even be Kevin's worst quality performance of the season, and it's it's very wrong of me to call it his worst performance because he's still P4 on the grid. Predators P5, so very good showing from Predators given that it's his first Q3 appearance for quite a while. Kolka, making her second appearance of the season, is P6. Tuman P7, Jib Jab P8 in the other Ferrari. The other Racing Point of Southerners is P9. Monkey rounds out your top 10 in the Alfa Romeo on a 30.3, and I believe the lobby is now going to be restarted. I'll just get confirmation.
Lovely.
But while we're waiting, let's get some race predictions. What are we thinking? Who's looking good? I think Jitto will still be a factor in this race, despite sort of starting P12, P13.
Especially on the fresh tyres, and he's going to, as long as he can get a good start, he's going to be right up there, I reckon, to be honest.
Yeah, so we are restarting the lobby.
Yeah. I've Fring said in the chat as well, wasn't expecting Callum to be up there. Yeah, wasn't expecting to set a lap like that at all.
So then, we have got McEwen on pole, Race Roller P2, Ranger P3. Ranger's definitely been showing strong quality and race pace this season, so he'll definitely be up there. Race Roller on debut, very solid performance from him. Obviously, we don't know a great deal about him, so I don't want to make any early assumptions, but I'm sure he'll be strong in the race. McEwen, we know he's got good race pace, especially towards the back end of last season. He won a couple of Grand Prix. Kevin will be a factor if he can avoid making the mistakes, which I don't want to be too critical of him, but he has been making one or two, and it's definitely cost him some good points. But it's only round 4, lots still to play for, and I'm sure Kevin will be a factor in this race. Jitto, as we mentioned, starting outside the top 10, but will have fresh tyres, and we know that he's definitely got some strong pace given what he managed in Q1. Obviously, the safety car could provide some different strategies should it come out. Just getting back into the lobby now.
Would you do you reckon there'll be a few, Harry? I reckon there will be, judging by qualifying. There's quite a few people losing the car, losing the traction. Might be in for a few safety cars.
Yeah, obviously we don't want to sort of jinx it or kind of criticise drivers or whatever, but it did seem as though quite a few were struggling, especially around the left-hander of turn 7 and the right-hander of turn 12, I think it is actually. I keep calling it turn 11, but I think it's turn 12. So yeah, they've definitely been struggling through there. Obviously as well, given the nature of the first couple of corners, not only on lap one but throughout the race. If you're trying to go side by side through there, it can get quite messy sometimes. So I think if we're not careful, I mean, generally the racecraft in Division 1 is very good. But if we're not careful, we could see an incident or two happening. You know, it's nothing bad. We want wheel-to-wheel racing, and it's always going to happen. If you didn't have a collision or something wheel-to-wheel racing, then I don't think you're racing hard enough. But I think should we see a safety car, it will definitely change up the strategy a bit. It'll be interesting to see actually what the likes of Jitto, Rigsy as well, starting from the back, try and do strategy-wise. Wonder if one of them may try the alternate, going hards to mediums or even hards to softs. It will be definitely interesting to see what they go for. I think there's only 1 or 2 in the top 10 starting on the softs. The advantage that they now have though is that they will get fresh soft compound tyres, so that's going to take about 10% of the wear that they would have had from qualifying off of the tyres. So it plays into their hands a little bit more perhaps than what it would have done had the lobby not had to have been reside. But I mean, there's nothing we can do about that. There's going to be glitches. There always is with these games. I mean, again, not trying to be critical, but it's just the way it is. I think there's not a great deal that can be done about it, especially from our standpoint, our point of view, whatever. So, you know, we just got to work around it, and hopefully the lobby will be back up, you know, fairly soon, or at least we'll be getting started fairly soon because the lobby is back up. We got Sean Gregory in the lobby now as well, so I wonder if he's gonna hop in instead of one of the drivers who may have had connection issues. Just waiting to see.
Nice as well with Riggs in the chat. He said he's one to watch. I mean Riggs, if your driving's as good as your commentating, then you should be right up there. So looking forward to that one, Riggs. I'm joking, but yeah, you should definitely work your way through the field. And Zajad also said Zenon to get a win because he brought the safety car. That'd be interesting. It's like he's taking a few tricks out of Janam's old book. So good he gets on.
Had to get that in there. Yeah. I don't know what to say to that. I think, yeah, to Jam's credit, you know, he's in the right place. You know, he's still got to make it work. Obviously, the safety car helps, but it's not only Jam that it's helped at times. I mean, as you mentioned, obviously, it definitely helped Zenon out in Bahrain. I mean, Zenon had good pace, don't get me wrong. But obviously, the safety car helped him, and then obviously the lobby braking. But yeah, I mean, you still got to finish the job. Obviously, a safety car can be really, really good for someone. Given provided it comes out at the right time. But you know, you still got to cross the line first, or you've got to cross the line, you know, within X amount of time to someone if they have a penalty.
Exactly.
So, yeah, you know, it's only sort of half the job, really, isn't it, to get a well-timed safety car? And obviously, there's not really anything that anyone can. Well, there's not really anything that the person that benefits from it can do about it, unless obviously you know you're Fernando Alonso at Singapore. But there you go.
Right. Do you have any podium predictions at all, Harry? Like, have you got any three that really stand out for you coming into the race?
I'd like to see what Jitto can do, given that he's starting outside that top 10. I'd like to see what he can do. We know he's obviously got very strong pace. I think McEwen, given his race pace, will definitely be up there. I'm sure he'd love to turn that pole into a win. Race Roller as well on debut. Very strong performance from him. I think I'm going to go with Ranger. I think Ranger's going to win. McEwen second, Jitto third. That would be my prediction. There we go. There's your top three. I think Jitto will have good pace, but I think given that he's starting 13th or wherever, I think he's just going to give himself a bit too much to do to catch Ranger and McEwen.
Yeah, fair point. I'm looking forward to see what that race roller can do. He's looking really consistent in quali. He hasn't really made any mistakes really from what I've noticed. I'm gonna I'm going to say Race Roller's going to get a podium as well. It'd be nice to see, especially his
Yeah, I mean
debut race.
that's a very good shout. I think I may perhaps have been a bit harsh on him, may have overlooked him there slightly, but obviously, I'm kind of sticking to what I know. As you say, I think he'll be strong in the race. So yeah, I mean, I think it's so difficult, obviously, to predict a podium when you've got 10 drivers or so that could that could get one. It's very difficult to predict it. But I mean,
Yeah.
starting on pole, it puts you in the best position to get onto the podium. So I think McEwen would probably be the best bet out of the bunch. But it really could be anyone. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if you had Riggs from 19th getting on the podium one way or another. Whether that's through pace or a safety car or whatnot. But it's really good to see, though. I think that you don't know who's going to get the podium. Like, we've seen it throughout the league, really, that quali's not been the be all and end all by any stretch as to what's happened in the race. Obviously, contrary to what we see in real life most of the time. So it's good to see that it provides a sense of unpredictability. It really adds to the spectacle. I feel that you never really know who's going to be on that podium come the end of the race.
Yeah, exactly. Also, say Raj reckons Kev, McKeon, sorry if I'm saying that wrong, and Gito for the podium. Beast Assassin reckons McKeon, Roller, and Ranger for the podium. And then we have Ben sticking with his Alpha Boy, Monkey. I don't want to be biased, but I wouldn't mind seeing Monkey crossing the line in first. Very nice.
I'd like to see Race Roller on the podium. Unfortunately, he won't be scoring any points for Renault, but get the Renault morale up. Yeah. I know the Div 1 boys in Renault have been struggling a little bit for for anything really, in even making the races, obviously through no fault of their own. But it would be nice to see a Renault on the podium. Anyway, even if it doesn't give the team the points, it's still. And on debut as well, that would be good to see a driver on debut being right up there from the start, showing that they've got the pace, and hopefully it would be a sign of things to come that they could, challenge right up there for the title. As it's only the fourth race. I mean, I know Ranger's leading, but he's only on 43 points. It's taking nothing away from him, but he's only on 43 points. It's not a massive amount, given we've had 3 races. But again, that's detriment really to this division, showing how close it is that the championship leader after 3 rounds is on 43 points.
Yeah, exactly. Like you said, anything can happen. One season, one bad race. It's not the end of the world. There's plenty of races to get back in there.
So then, here we go. Apologies for the delay. It's just something I think we'll have to be getting used to as viewers, just given the current state the game's in. I think we are going to have a couple of minutes at least for a break. Yeah, so we're going at 12 minutes past. So that's 3 minutes from now. Just giving everyone a chance to get setups on and make sure that they're on the right tyres, as that's one thing to note. Anyone in the top 10, they must start on the tyres that they got through to Q3 on. So if anyone's on the softs, they will have to start on the softs, otherwise they will get disqualified, and same for mediums runners.
I think eight of the top 10 started on mediums, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah.
They qualified for Q2?
Yeah, 8. I would be quite surprised if we saw anyone else starting on the softs, apart from Jib Jab and Kolka. I believe it was Jib Jab and Kolka who got through on the softs. Yeah. I think most of those guys outside the top 10 will either be on mediums or hards. I think if I was towards the back, why not chance it on the hards? I mean, you're going to have to run them at some point in this race, one way or another. If you're starting right at the back, it could be a well-timed safety car. It could just be, that you'll have the pace at the end on the mediums. I think if you're around P11, P12, probably no point starting on the hards. You might as well start on those mediums and, try and keep up, get up to the top guys, the top, 10 or whatever. Unfortunately, obviously, for those guys starting outside the top 10, that advantage that they would have had with the fresh tyres has now been eradicated with the lobby being restarted. But again, not a lot that can be done about that, unfortunately. But perhaps then Zenon maybe would have changed his mind and gone through on the softs. I'm not sure, but you never know. Although I think he probably would have known that the lobby was going to be restarted at that point. So maybe it was more of a tactical decision there from the McLaren driver.
Yeah, I think it'll be very interesting to see how long Jib Jab and Cole can make the softs last. And I'd be very surprised if they go longer than 6 or 7 laps. See what the pace is like.
Yeah, I would definitely, because that's the thing really, especially around here. It's not even just like the temperatures that you struggle with. So at a track like Hungary, for example, especially on previous games, the wear itself on the softs wasn't like awful, but once they went off, like once they overheated, that was just it, and you had to get off them. Like around here, it's not only that, but the wear on the softs is pretty ridiculous as well. Like I think realistically, they're going to be 6 laps maximum on those soft compound tyres. It will give them possibly an undercut, although obviously I think by then the mediums will be better than the hards. So it'll be interesting to see how they get on, Coulter and Jib Jab. As Liam's currently got the softs fitted, although I'd be surprised if he actually started the race on them. Jib Jab hasn't got the softs fitted at the moment, so he'll have to get them on. Just a rundown of those outside of the top 10. It's Division P11 for Red Bull. Liam 12th in the Williams. Then we've got Zenon in the McLaren 13th. Jitto starts 14th with Bland in the Alpha P15. Liam's actually just put the hards onto his Williams as Jib Jab has just selected his softs. Now we're starting in a second. JH P16 in the Mercedes. He's also put the hard compound tyres on, as has Sean Gregory and Saucier Clock, who are starting P19 and P20. Rigsy and Owen both on mediums. Gregory's come in to the Renault instead of Jumpush, and Clock's got into the lobby after he missed qualifying. So we are going to have 20 runners here for the Chinese Grand Prix, as we're just about to start the formation lap.
Yeah, with also with Clock coming in, is he starting on the hards?
I believe he is.
Yeah, I mean he shows he has a really good race pace. So if he gets a clean start, could be one to watch out for as well, getting into the points potentially. Just you never know.
I think that's definitely a factor that this AlphaTauri team do have in Division 1. Both their drivers very consistent in the race. I mean, we've seen it so many times, especially last season. Obviously, both Predators and Clock making up places come the checkered flag through, not getting any penalties and, not making the mistakes. So I think, as you say, Clock will be one to look out for, especially given that he's starting on the hards. I think Predator's starting P5, his best starting position for a very long time, it has to be said. Given that he's got that consistency, got that, decent race pace, I think he'll definitely be a factor as well. Wasn't actually mentioned, I don't think, but I'd watch out for him if I were Kevin or Ranga, just ahead of him on the grid. I'd be looking out. I'd be looking over my shoulder for the AlphaTauri driver, as it's been a pretty quick formation lap from McEwen. I mean, the mediums, they don't really wear a great deal, and you want to try and get as much temperature into them as possible. So they're obviously kind of getting on with it a bit to try and keep those mediums warm. It's probably not going to be ideal though for the soft compound runners, as they'll probably want to be trying to go as long as they can on this formation lap and take it as slowly as possible to avoid getting any unnecessary wear. So we just run through the order then. So Liam's the first driver to start on the hards. He's P12. Zen and Jitto both mediums. So William's gone for a split strategy. JH as well on the hards. Owen, Riggs, mediums. Sean Gregory and Clock also on the hard compound tyres, as we're just lining up then. So McEwen just coming into his grid slot. And we're going to get ready then. We're going to line up on the grid for the start of SLR F1 Division 1 Chinese Grand Prix. The 4th round of the season. Are we going to see our 4th different winner?
Yeah, I'll stay on the back. Freeman asking for the tyres as well. You can, Harry.
Let me get them up. There we go. There are your tyres. So as I said, only those two in the top 10. Coulter and Jib Jab sign on the softs. So then here we go. 2, 3. Oh, bit of a glitch with the lights. 5 red lights. Lights out. And away we go. Fairly short hold there on the lights. I've lost game volume, so that's pretty annoying. Oh, we've got it back. We're all right. Ranga's made a pretty good start here. He's going side by side with Kevin through the first corner. Kevin on the inside, though. Ranga trying to go around the outside. Kolka's disconnected. Oh, and Kevin and Ranga making contact there. I think Ranga's got the position, and Predator's now coming up the inside, or round the outside, sorry, now, of Kevin. He's going to hold his position, though, going to hold P5, so the top 5 remain as they were, sorry. Kolka, unfortunately, having connection issues. That's going to be... I don't think she's going to be able to get back in, so that is pretty awful. Jib Jab making a good start. He's gained a position on the softs. Jitto's had an awful start, Midzi. What's happened to him?
Yeah, I was on board at the back. I think he's got squeezed on the inside of turn one. Obviously, it's a really long sweeping right hand. You can see Bland just off as well. But I think he was on the inside, and the door's just shut on him. It's a bit unfortunate. Nowhere to go. But I don't think he's got no damage from what I can see visually. So hopefully he's okay. And he's still right there in the back of the pack. But yeah, not a great start. Just unfortunate.
Yeah, so not ideal then for the Williams drivers. We see Jib Jab getting past the AI car of Kolka, so that might create a bit of a bottleneck then perhaps in this race, this AI car. Unfortunately, not really anything that can be done about that, as Tuman looked to try and have a go at the inside, but was just covered off there by the AI, so good defending from it has to be said, as we see JH and Clot there just on the timings, swapping positions, and here we go. The timing's going to glitch out for a minute, I think, although they do actually seem to be fixed this week, so there we go. Liam's lost a place off the start. He started on the hards as well. Clock's already made up 4 or 5 positions, as we already see 3 drivers into the pits. Zenon, Sean Gregory and JH all coming into the pits, so they must have got some damage there, and I think Jitto's in the pits as well, is he? Yeah, he is.
Yeah, there was no visual damage, but clearly must have some sort of damage as well. But bit cheeky there from Jitto as well. Well, I'm not sure JH made a mistake, but Jitto made a move going into the pits, so he's not messing about.
He's also gone into the softs as well, so 2-stop strategy it must be now for Jitto. I think he probably can make the hards last to the end. It says we're on lap 3, I can assure you it's not, it's lap 2. So a bit of a visual glitch there, not a great deal we can do about that. And the timings do seem to have messed up a bit, as Jitto apparently is leading the race, which again I can assure you he's not leading the race. We've got McEwen, who's already built quite a bit of a gap actually to the Renault of Racer Rollers. The timings do just start to sort themselves out now. 7/10 it is at the moment, and it's another 7/8 back to Ranga in the Red Bull. Kevin and Predator's a bit closer than that, 4/10 each to one another. So already the field's sort of starting to spread out a bit, as Tuman's got nearly a second and a half gap to those guys. Jib Jab trying to hold on those softs for as long as he can. Kolka's AI, I think, is starting to create a bit of a bottleneck, which is unfortunate. Perhaps a reason why maybe ghosting should be on, but there we go. We won't stay on that for too long. Division then getting caught up behind Kolka, as they're only a tenth between each other. And here we go then, the timing glitches start, as Southerners is apparently a lap down, which again, he isn't. It's just something that we're going to have to sort of, skip over and look past. There's not a great deal we can do about that. Is there anything you've noticed, especially in that last lap, Midzu?
No, it's been relatively clean apart from the start. Just wanted to point out as well, Riggs had a really good start, 6 positions and going. Started clocked obviously up 4 from
oh yeah, here we go.
A few spins, but yeah, Riggs and Gnome really good starts.
Yeah, Riggsy's just along with Monkey now, getting caught up behind Kolka's AI. As you mentioned, yeah, Riggsy up 6 positions, I believe. We'll get the positions up now, actually, just to, in case anyone's wondering. Yeah, so Riggsy, he's the big mover so far, up 6. Kolka, obviously, I don't think we'll be able to get back into the session, which is really unfortunate. Oh, and Monkey taps the back of Kolka. Yeah. Very good reaction from Riggs to avoid the spinning Alfa Romeo car there. It means that he's got a bit of a... he's hampered his exit there, but Liam on the hards won't really get close to him. As we see Kevin getting past Ranga, so apologies, I've missed that. Kevin has gotten past Ranga, and now the Haas driver is into P3, sorry. McEwen checking out in front, gaps nearly 2 seconds now to Race Roller in the Renault, who is currently in P2. So bit of a train forming then behind this Renault driver. Jib Jab hanging on to it on those softs, P6. I wonder how long he's going to take him. He's gone 4 laps already. Tuman and Southerners all trying to catch back up, obviously, after they've been caught up behind Colker's AI. Rigsy as well, getting up into P10, past Colker's AI. So Rigsy in 3 laps here, making up 8 positions. Very strong start from him. Clock as well from the back, making up 5. Owen making up 4 as well. Obviously, they'll have benefited from 5 drivers pitting, or 4 drivers pitting, sorry, and Monkey spinning. But, you know, nevertheless, they've made the start, they've got away cleanly, and they're, you know, getting the rewards for it.
Yeah, Jitto just made a move on Darson and obviously been on the soft compound tyre. Going down to the hairpin, must move. 20 seconds behind the next car, which is unfortunate. A long way to go.
So then field spreading out a bit. There's not really any visible sort of delta or gap between the drivers that would suggest one could go for a move in a minute, especially in this top 10. We have got Bland in the Alfa Romeo though, who's going for a move on Owen by the looks of things. Tried to go around the outside there at turn 12, couldn't quite get it done. He's going to get the DRS though on the Haas drive, but Owen's got some very good straight line speed. As he's pulled away actually from the Alfa driver down the straight. We've got Colker's AI being overtaken now by Liam.
Bland sent it. He's cut inside.
Bland sent it. Yeah.
It's clean.
For it. He's forced Owen offline, but as you say, yeah, it was a clean move. He's got it made, and up into P13 now is the Alfa Romeo driver. Going to go, I think, for 2 moves in a matter of only 2 corners here, as he's looking down the inside of Colker's AI. Can he get it done here? The AI backing out, so it's fair enough there. AI not causing too many issues for Bland in the Alfa Romeo as he manages to get past it and stick with Liam. So the top 5 then remains the same for the last lap or so. As Tuman is, he's managed to catch back up actually, so credit to him. He's caught back up to Jib Jab in the Ferrari, so he's getting himself back into the conversation here. As Ranga does seem to be dropping off a little bit, so I wonder if he's got some damage or just got a bit of an issue here. I wonder if he's lacking a bit of race pace. Maybe he is, because he's not got any visible damage, but he is over a second now off the back of Kevin. This is going to bring Predators into play, sorry, as he's going to get the DRS now, and Ranga I don't think he's going to have much of a defence, although he's got a very good exit out of turn 12. So that I think will just ease the pressure for now, as we see Kevin and Race Roller going side by side down the straight. Kevin going for the move, and he's got it done, so Kevin up to P2 now. He's got some very strong pace, it has to be said. I think he's going to try and charge up to the back of McEwen now, as the Haas driver then making up yet another position up into P2.
Jab's lost it. I'm at the final corner as well. I think he's got damage
yeah,
though.
I thought he pitted. But no, yeah, as you say.
Yeah, I think he's lost it on the curb. Tyres obviously not in great shape, and now they're not going to be too great at all after that.
Yeah, now he's got division as well, so he's got another thing to think about. He's got a Red Bull up his inside. It will turn to the outside though for division, round turns 2 and 3. But he's got it done, and that is a very good move from the Red Bull driver around the outside at turns 2 and 3. Very impressive from him. He's got it done, and he's on harder compound tyres, so he didn't have the traction advantage that perhaps you would normally be getting. It's a very good move there from Division. Puts himself up into P8. Predators now once again close to the back of Ranga. So obviously in the junior team, the AlphaTauri, but when it's equal cars, that's out the window. That's not really a factor. Kevin's eaten into McEwen's lead. He's got about 3/10, gained 3/10 to him now. Sorry. So you know, Kevin starting to put the pressure onto McEwen a little bit. I think Predators again not getting as good an exit as Ranga had out of turn 12. It does mean that he's not going to be close enough to make a move. Monkey, if I can get to him, right on the back of Colker's AI. So I think he should be able to get the move done here. Shouldn't be too difficult for him. We've also got Clock going for a move on Owen. Down the inside, it's going to be into the hairpin. On the harder compound tyres, Clock's got good pace then by the looks of things, as he's now the second hard runner, only behind Liam as Jib Jab pits. So he's had enough of those soft compound tyres. He's going to put on probably some hards and go to the end, I'd imagine.
Yeah, that's what I just wanted to point out. Pred's obviously not getting good exit coming onto that back straight, but he doesn't have a lot of ERS either. Ranga although he might be lacking some pace with the cars in front, he does have a lot more ERS than Predators, so Predators not going to have an easy time getting past Wrangler.
As well, this pace from Ranger is allowing some drivers to catch back up. Obviously, Tuma managed to catch back up to that pack. I think Southerners is starting to gain a little bit, although he does seem to be kind of on his own really a bit, as is Division. So both of those guys not really having to worry about the guys behind them at the moment. Predators slightly further back from Ranger this time, and as you mentioned, it's 50% less ERS than the Red Bull driver here. So I think Predators is having to push to keep up with Ranger, and Ranger's really not able to keep with this top three. So I think if Predators can't get past Ranger anytime soon, he's going to be you know, pushing his luck, I think, to get a podium. If it stayed like this, as we see Race Roller again getting close to Kevin.
Just wanted to point out as well, Harry. Like, I think obviously Dirty Airs, I think on this game, like obviously it's very noticeable. I find it quite hard to actually make a move, even coming down that back straight and overtakes are very powerful in this game. The DRS and slipstream don't really do much, do they? Like, unless you have a lot of DRS coming down to that back straight and get a really good exit, it's quite hard to make a move considering how long the straight is.
Oh, Kevin losing the back end there out of turn 3, and that's going to put him under pressure there from Race Roller in the Renault. Is he going to try it round the outside then into turn 4, 5, 6, whatever it is? He tries it. Kevin covers him off pretty well there. I believe it's turn 6, so apologies for that. But he's going to try it again down the inside. Bit of understeer, and he nearly hits the side of that Haas. Kevin leaving just about a car's width, so good defensive driving there from the Haas driver. He's going to put them on the back foot a bit though. They're going to start to lose a bit of time to McEwen, so I'm sure McEwen will be loving those two fighting. Race Roller showing that he's he's going to try it. He's got that aggression that you need to try and get the moves done, but just not quite working for him on this occasion.
Preds again, really close to Ranger. See what his exit like this time.
Well, it seems a bit better.
Once it's DRS,
it's going to be close enough.
Yeah,
that's going to be what it is. I think Ranger can afford pretty much to sort of deploy that ERS coming out of the corner, and it's just going to mean that he can cover Preds off for the time being. And in fact, going back to what you just mentioned as well, Midzi, it does seem as though, especially around China, obviously given that the main overtaking spot is going to be down that back straight, it is going to be, coming out of turn 12 and getting that dirty air through there, especially when you're within a second of the car behind, or car ahead, sorry, it's really going to hamper your exit down the back straight, as you're going to be getting that big wash of dirty air. It's going to put you on the back foot. Plus, if the driver in front deploys their ERS effectively, it should mean that they're able to keep that gap fairly manageable. So I think really, unless we see a driver within 2, 3, 4 tenths coming out of the that long right-hander, we're not really going to see too many moves getting done, as well as the fact that it does seem as though the slipstream is a bit less effective on this game, as we see Bland there in the Alpha, I think, having another bit of a moment as he's now coming under pressure from Liam. We'll stay on board with Clock. Is Liam going to go for a move down the inside? He has a think about it. Bland holds it round the outside though, and that's going to put him under pressure. Liam's exit has been affected, and Clock's going to try it round the outside then into turn 7. He gets the move done. Very good move there from Clock. He's opportunistic as ever is Clock, and he gets himself up into P11, so he's up 9 now off the start. Very good showing from Clock so far.
Race Roller really close with Kevin this time, coming down the back straight, but once again he doesn't have a lot of DRS, but I think he might be able to make a move.
Yeah, just get on board with him. He's going to go to the outside. Kevin holding it on the inside. Brakes late. Nearly touching tyres there, but I think they just about avoided it. He's going to try it though, Race Roller. He's using his ERS effectively. Got a great exit out of that hairpin, and he's managed to get past Kevin. So these two battling. I'm sure McEwen won't mind that whatsoever, as his lead has now extended to over 2.5 seconds.
Yeah, Chito just pitted as well, so is Kolka, both on the hards, hopefully going to the end. Chijab also onto the hards to the end, hopefully.
Monkey got the DRS on Owen. He was closer than this, but I think he's just got that dirty air through the final corner, and it's meant that he's not really been able to challenge Owen into the first couple of corners here. We got Bland actually, just noticed, right on the back of clock. Although he's again struggling with the rears on exit. It's not the first time we've seen Bland have a bit of a moment this weekend, and that's really put him on the back foot. Clock, bit of a lock up there, but it's not going to matter. As again, Bland, I think these tyres must be overheating. That's all I can think, really. There shouldn't really be any other reason why he's losing the back end as he's gone again. Can Liam avoid him? Liam does avoid him, but he's had to slow down a great deal there. But well done to Liam there for avoiding him, as that was a pretty difficult one to judge, as Bland was pretty much straddling the whole of the track there. But he has avoided it. We're actually yet to see any form of safety car, so touch wood, we don't. So that's a good sign so far, as the field has started to spread out a bit now. But Kevin, in fact, I've just noticed, is very close yet against the race roller. So it's going to be about round 7, I think, for these two going at it again. But race roller's just got a bit of a better exit out of the final corner, and it means that Kevin's not going to be close enough to get the move done. Although race roller goes a bit deep there through the first couple of corners. Kevin getting a bit of opposite lock there though, and it's not. Yeah, he's not going to be close enough now. I've just seen as well, Mitzi, Predators had dropped to over a second off Ranga, but he's managed to get the gap back down to within half a second now. So is Predators sort of still being held up by Ranga somewhat? Would you say?
Yeah, I think he's definitely quicker. It's just he doesn't have enough ERS to get past him down the back straight.
Oh, we've got a racing point gone. Sorry, Mitzi.
Yeah.
Tuman's just gone.
He's lost on the traction.
Lost out of turn 7.
Yeah.
Which is a shame for him, because he was doing pretty well, it had to be said. P6, pretty solid from him so far. Wasn't really much to comment on him up until that point, but that has, he's dropped a couple of positions, but it could have been worse for him there. There's that battle between Bland, Liam, Monkey, Owen still continuing there.
Yeah. I just wanted to
this
point
is
out
really.
as well,
No, sorry.
I was just going to say, it seems like quite a lot of people are struggling with the traction there. I was on board with Bland, and I'm surprised he still stayed out. I think he's going to just be losing a lot of time. His tyres. Well, his tyres don't seem too bad now. He hasn't been too bad this lap. But Owen as well, struggling on the traction. He lost it here last lap and lost the position to Monkey, I think it was. So quite a few struggling with the traction.
I was just about to say, are we going to see anyone pit? McEwen stayed out, as did Race Roller, but Kevin's going for the undercut here on the Renault driver as he comes into the pits then. So the first pitter then, start of lap 11 or 12, I believe it is. So Kevin then coming into the pits. We've got Liam, if I can get to him, he's still right behind both the Alvas here. In fact, I think he's lost out to Monkey. But of course, Liam is on the harder compound tyres. I was just going to mention a minute ago, it does seem as though some of these drivers perhaps are struggling with the setup. Maybe the rear's overheating a bit, because otherwise I don't think they should be having any major issues with the traction on the rears. Kevin, luckily for him, has managed to get out ahead of both of the Alfa Romeos, so good call from the team there, from the Haas team, to pit him, get him back into some clean air, as unfortunately for Ranga, he's had exactly the opposite happen to him, as he's behind both the Alphas and Liam. So Ranga could actually fall victim to the overcut if Predators can get a move on. It's something I'm sure Predators will look to try and do, as he did seem to be getting held up a bit by Ranga. But that was the other thing actually of note. Ranga was starting to actually come back towards Kevin and Race Roller as they were fighting. So not only was McEwen pulling away, those two were coming back towards the Haas and Renault.
Yeah, I think Preds is going to
really
pit.
getting held up now.
Preds is pushing.
Yeah, McEwen pits from the lead. Race Roller pits. Preds pits as well. So the top 3 pitting, as does Southerners. I don't think Liam's going to make this too difficult for Ranga, which he isn't. So Ranga's going to get past Liam then up into P12, but he's still got 2 Alphas ahead of him. Only one of them will be able to pit this lap if they choose to. Is it going to be Bland? No. So Monkey pits then, so that does give Ranga a bit of clean air, but Ranga's definitely going to be under pressure now. In fact, let's go on board with Predators. Is he going to come out? Oh no, that's Kevin. Alright, well, we're not going to see Predators. Predators does still stay behind Ranga. So, seemingly that dirty air, Ranga getting stuck behind those cars, didn't actually seem to affect him too much.
Yeah, if anything,
Race Roller.
So yeah, anything's lost more time.
Yeah,
Really.
yeah, he definitely has. Predator's nearly 2 seconds back now. I was just going to say, Race Roller as well has definitely lost out. That undercut from Kevin proving really strong as he's gained 2 seconds or so to the Renault driver. And in fact, Kevin is, he's within 2 seconds of McEwen, so he's gained as well about a second to the Ferrari driver Kevin. So I wonder if he can push on, whether he can challenge McEwen. Obviously, he has been fairly unchallenged so far. Ranger behind Bland now. He's got Liam actually is the car behind him. Then it's Predators. So Ranger, I'm sure, would love to get as much time over Predators as possible here. Perhaps this Red Bull is going to work a bit better on the hards than what it was seemingly doing on the mediums, as Ranger gets past Bland there relatively easily, it has to be said. Are we going to see Kevin go for a move on Clock? He does go for a move, we just got to it. Bit of a dive bomb into the hairpin, and Clock does remain ahead then. Big lock up from both fronts from Clock, and then front left for Kevin. I'm not sure if Clock will be best pleased about that. Bit of an ambitious move there from Kevin, but obviously Kevin trying to not lose out too much to McEwen.
I think Kevin realised he's caught McKeon quite a bit, and he wanted to make that move, but needs to be a little bit more patient. Doesn't want to take him and Clock out the race.
Yeah, obviously only halfway through the race. You won't want to be doing anything too rash. As again, he's looking up the inside. Clock locking up yet again. So Clock's definitely feeling the pressure from the Haas driver, but yet again, Clock managing to stay ahead. So good defensive driving from the AlphaTauri. Doing his teammate a good job as well, if those guys can start to catch up to Kevin whilst he remains behind the Haas of behind the AlphaTauri, of Clock. So not really too much going on in terms of position changes. We've got both the Alphas yet again inseparable, it seems, especially in this last 10 laps or so. Monkey has managed to get the jump on Bland as he got the undercut, but neither of them really making too many moves apart from on each other. Kevin now, though, I think this is going to be relatively easy on Clock, and yeah, it is. So he gets the move done then. Not really going to be pressured, I don't think, going into the braking zone. Is Race Roller going to have a look at Clock? I think he thought about it, but he just wasn't close enough.
Looking down the field, Monkey right behind JH as well. Division jib jab battling going to the hairpin. Yeah, Division's got that move. So I think that's down the outside.
Ferrari jib jab having a look back at Division. Division picks up a time penalty for his troubles there, just running slightly wide into the final corner. But a good move from him around the outside, then into the hairpin. So, he's looking to make a few moves here. He's in about P8, I think, once Clock and Liam have pitted. But Clock's doing pretty well.
Sorry, Harry. Yeah, JH and Bland. Now Monkey's let Bland going up. Bland and JH to battle it. Bland's made the move.
Oh, JH losing the back end through turn 3. I was just going to say, JH on 12 lap old mediums. I reckon he'll be looking to pit fairly soon. I wonder if he's going to go on to another set of mediums, though, to take to the end. I was just going to say, Clock's doing a pretty decent job, actually. He's managing to just about stick with Race Roller and Kevin. Although, just as I've said that, the gap has gone to over a second. But, to be fair to him, Clock doing pretty well on the alternate strategy. He'll be staying out a couple more laps, I think. In fact, actually, he might be looking to pit around about now. As it's either lap 15 or 14. It's hard to tell because it says Clock's tyres are 14 laps old, but we're on lap 15. So if anyone actually knows what lap we're on, it would be it would be appreciated. As a Race Roller yet again, he's caught back up to Kevin. So good job from him in the Renault to get back towards the Haas driver. And in fact, McEwen's losing out. He's been reeled in by Kevin and by Race Roller, so McEwen, I think, is going to come under pressure in a lap or two's time.
Yeah, Kevin's pushing really hard, you see by the RS. McKeon's on around 50%. Kevin's down to just over 10%, but he's closing in, taking Race Roller with him as well.
Interestingly enough, Mitzi, we've got Tuman actually out in the lead. We've not really seen much of him after he had that bit of a moment coming out of turn 6 quite early on. He's in the lead, but he's on 15 lap old mediums. I wonder if he's trying to one-stop here, mediums to softs. It would be some ask. He's probably got to do at least 4 laps more on these mediums to try and get to any sort of window where he could take the softs to the end, but it may be done. It would certainly be impressive if he can get it done, and it might put him in a good position should a safety car come out.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, unless that's what he's waiting for. Just if there's something happens and he does get lucky with the safety car, but even so, staying out until the softs, I think he's just going to lose. He's just losing too much time.
Yeah, here we go. Then Ranger's just gotten past Clock without too much of a fight from Clock, as I think Clock was pulling to the side to let his teammate of Predators through. Predators now really close to the back of Ranger, so I think Clock was trying to just get Predators back into play here with the Red Bull. So the AlphaTauri seemingly working together a little bit as Predators now. He's got the run, but he's really low on the ERS. Is he going to have a look down the inside into turn 1? He thinks about it. That was always going to end in tears, I think. Ranger just turning in on the AlphaTauri driver. It looked like Predators just sort of... I think he just kind of realised slightly too late that the move wasn't going to be on. He wasn't really... He was obviously alongside Ranger to an extent, but I don't think he was quite alongside enough to warrant the move. And unfortunately, he's not only lost time from that, he's lost an end plate, and I think that's really put him on the back foot. After such a strong showing from him, I think he's going to be in trouble now if he wants to score some points. Not really much Ranger did wrong, I don't think, there. Obviously, just sort of turning in, trying to give Predators room, but I don't think it was really much he could do about that, given the nature of that turn 1. Predators just getting a bit of understeer, going into the side pod of that Red Bull and getting a bit of wing damage for his troubles.
And also, we've got scrapped at 18th between Gregory and JH. Great to see position, or good battling for 18th position. As Gregory just gets to the inside once again.
Yeah, we'll just flip over to it. Oh, JH losing it on the power. Kevin as well, Mizzy, managing to get into McEwen's DRS, so if he can stay within the second of McEwen, that will definitely put him in good stead. I think really Racer probably in the worst position actually in that top 3. Obviously he's going to struggle, I think, to get the move on Kevin now that he's got McEwen's DRS, and so he's not going to be under pressure from anyone behind, but I think he'll struggle to get past Kevin or McEwen, just given sort of the nature of the slipstream and the DRS in this game. But we are going to see, I think, JH try and retake that 18th position, or get into 18th position. Going for the move on Sean Gregory and down the inside, braking pretty late. Is he going to make the corner? Just about, but I think Sean Gregory's going to get it on the switchback. Although they're going to go side by side into the final corner. This could end in disaster, but it's just going to end out all right then. JH getting up the inside, getting back into P18. But he's going to get him back. So they're going at it then for P18. The last of the classified finishers, I think it will be, as Kolka's AI is still driving. So, no one wants to finish last, and these two, they're putting on a bit of a show for us, albeit fighting for P18. But we'll go back out in front. We've got Race Roller yet again on the back of Kevin, and they're all coming up now. McEwen, Kevin and Race Roller to the back of Tooman in the Racing Point. I don't think he's going to be pitting at least for a couple of laps yet. So if McEwen can get past Tooman quickly here, this could play into his hands. But it's going to be easier said than done. I know Tooman a pretty strong defender when it comes to fighting for position. So I'm sure he won't, he won't be letting them through too easily here. As obviously he doesn't have to, he's not obliged to.
Yeah, Tooman's not going to make this too easy, I don't think. Not at all.
So you can see McEwen pretty much pushing him there through turn 6, and now he's going to get held up throughout the whole of this middle sector. I think if McEwen can just stick, within this 3/10 window of Tooman, he will be able to get past him on the back straight. But obviously with the dirty air round turn 12, it's going to prove a bit more difficult perhaps than he'd like. He might even have a look here, actually. He has to think about it, but just thinks better of it. But it forces Tooman a bit deep, forces Tooman offline. So he's going to get a good run now through turn 12 is McEwen, and he's pretty much got the move done before they even get to the back straight. And this is good as well, I think, going to give Kevin a good chance. But Tooman's coming back at him. McEwen then, I don't know what he's doing. Is he, holding back on the ERS? Because in fact he's going to lose not only out to Tooman yet again, but he's going to lose the lead to Kevin. He does manage to get through, but Kevin snatching the lead from McEwen sort of really came from nowhere, and McEwen caught off guard there a bit.
Yeah, Race Roller gets through as well. Tooman doing Kevin a favour then. Really, Kevin following Tooman through. McEwen just caught.
Oh, he's going down the inside though, Mitzi. Oh, yeah. That nearly ended quite a bit like Predators and Ranga did, but I think Kevin just allowing a bit more room than what Ranga did. But I don't think Ranga did anything wrong. Ranga has as well, actually, just to mention him, started to gain a bit of time to these three as they were being held up by Tooman, who's probably going to look to try and stick with them for a little while, as McEwen there inadvertently getting a time penalty as he just cut a bit too much of that apex, and he's got Race Roller actually. I wonder if that's what put him off. Race Roller down the inside into turn 7, going to try and hold it around the outside for turn 8. Inside for turn 9 now is the Renault driver, and he's got the move done, so very good move there from Race Roller. Opportunistic, but he's got it done, and it was a clean move as well, so all credit to him. He's going to run the risk though of being overtaken back by McEwen, as I think he's just got into Kevin's DRS, which he has, so that's really going to save him, as McEwen has seemingly lost quite a bit of pace here. I wonder if he's got damage or something. No, he's not. He's just seemingly, perhaps the hard compound tyres not really working as well on the Ferrari as they are on the Haas and the Renault here.
Yeah, right, yeah. Perhaps not feeling too confident on the hards. I'm going to say, got to give praise to Race Roller though. Like I said, in quality, he's looking very consistent, not making any mistakes really, and he's proving that as he's battling for the lead. So
yeah, we just see Tooman going into the pits then, so he's had enough of those mediums after being on them for 20 laps as well. We missed Clock and Liam pitting, so they both went on to mediums as well. They're into P11 and 12 respectively. Predators is really dropping back now. I think that wing damage is hurting him quite a bit, although he's still in P6 as it stands. But there's 3 drivers now, Division, Jib Jab and Rigsy, who's they're all within sort of 4 or 5 seconds of him, so I think he'll be coming under pressure in these closing stages. And we've not missed because Race Roller was already past McEwen last lap, but Race Roller, yeah, so those 3 actually, the top 3 all within a second of one another. So I said Race Roller was probably in the worst position out of the 3, being in 3rd position, but he's made me eat my words there, as he's up into P2, and he's now, I'd say, got a very good chance at the win here. He's pretty low on his battery though. Having said that, as is Kevin in the Haas, he's covering him off. Bit of a weave there from Kevin, but I think he's just done the 2 moves that he's allowed to do, obviously off the racing line and back onto it. These 3 running within a second of one another. It's very tight at the top. I think if you're McEwen, if you don't win this race, you might be a bit disappointed. He obviously had a 2.5 second lead at one point, and well, unfortunately that's kind of gone out the window. But 6-7 laps to go, it's not over by any stretch, as Tooman comes back out in P10 on fresh sets off. So Tooman definitely still a factor in this race.
yeah, just wanted to point out, Race Roller just went into AI mode, gone on to the start finish straight, so you might not be too happy with giving them back straight there, but it didn't look like anything wrong there, but yeah.
Yeah, I thought Kevin had only done the 1 move, but maybe I was wrong. Race Roller, I think, unfortunately, that's kind of affected him. He's nearly out of Kevin's DRS, so that's not ideal for Race Roller. In fact, this could be just what Kevin needs. If McEwen and Race Roller start to battle,
Yeah, he's not going to get
Kevin
it.
obviously
He won't get it, I don't think.
it's going to be tight. I think just going through that the detection zone, it went down to 9/10 just quickly as Kevin picks up a time penalty running wide out of turn 12, and Raceroller does have the DRS. So fortunate for him. And in fact, if he doesn't have a time penalty, that's really going to put him into play, because Kevin obviously just picking up that penalty there. I was just going to say, actually, Jib Jab now on the back of Division 14 lap old hards compared to Division's 7 lap old tyres. So a bit of a tyre disadvantage here, but it's not really seeming as though it is, as Tooman as well has gotten past Rigsy. So he's up into P9 now. He's on fresh soft compound tyres, whereas Rissy's on, you know, fairly old hards, and he's got the move done there up into P9.
Just want to point out as well, Harry Ranga, I know it's staying around 3 seconds, but it does seem like he's still closing in on McKeon. So he could potentially, if he carries on like this, and you know, what happens to McKeon, he could be in that battle for the podium.
Yeah, you see Jib Jab going for a bit of a look up the inside of Division there into turn 2. Not really the most orthodox of overtaking spots, but he had a look. Just covered off well by Division, and they're both coming up now. This pair coming up to Predators in the AlphaTauri, who unfortunately I think is going to come under pressure not only from Division Jib Jab. Tooman under a second and a half now. So Jib Jab is the racing point driver, and he's on fresh softs. Rigsy as well, not too far behind himself on the mediums, and then Clock as well on the hard. Sorry, Rigsy is. Clock's on the mediums, and he's also within a second and a half of Rigsy. So I think Predators, unfortunately, if it goes against him, could end up P11 here in this race. If those guys can get past him. McEwen, I'm just seeing it. McEwen got the move done on Raceroller down that back straight. So well, it's kind of what Kevin wanted, really. These two fighting. It's going to allow him to pull away a little bit. McEwen's not going to have the DRS on the main straight, on the start-finish straight. And Raceroller might look to come back at him here. Thinks about it, but thinks better of it. I think just about nearly had a look down the inside. Tooman as well, Midzi, has already gotten past Jib Jab, so he's making pretty good progress on those softs.
Yeah, he's flying, to be fair. Looks like at this rate he might have Division at the end of this lap, but then there's oh no, excuse me. Yeah, Division's only just within 2 seconds of Predators as well. So Tooman looking good for 6th at the moment if he carries on like this.
Someone has had quite a quiet afternoon, it has to be said, Southerners. P5, solid performance from him. We've not really seen much of him. He's not really been involved in much action. But the Racing Point driver in P5. So, you know, he's getting the job done. Laps ticking over. Keeping it on the track. Obviously don't want to jinx him, but you know, keeping it on the track. The bottom sort of 5 or so haven't really changed a great deal in the last few laps. JH pitting, actually, probably trying to go for the fastest lap. We've got Zenon and Owen, who are quite close to one another. Zenon as well hasn't really, well, he's not really shown the pace that he has done in recent races this week. So perhaps a bit of a disappointing afternoon from his perspective. Jitto as well, not really managing to live up to the hype after he's back where he started in P14. So obviously having to pit early on and change the strategy has not really worked for him.
Sorry, Tim just made the move of Division going to the hairpin, but he's run a bit deep. Yeah, Division's got the switch back, but I don't think he does. He does get the traction. He keeps it going in the final corner.
Oh, I've missed another overtake, so apologies for that. I was just going to see if Zenon could go for a move on Owen. It looks like Tooman's going to have a look again. He thought about it, I think, but again, you know, he's playing the long game. He's got 4 laps and he's got the better tyres, so it's probably no rush for him to try and go for a move. As Zenon does get past Owen, but I think they might have made a bit of contact there. Owen looked very close to the rear right tyre of the McLaren there, just coming out of the hairpin. But Zenon has got the move done and he's now up into P16.
As well, Clock's been slowly reeling in Riggs lap after lap, and he's now within half a second as well, so that's another battle to watch out for the last Prince playing position.
Yeah, as well, credit to Predators. Had that half spin after coming together with Ranger at turn 1. Had a bit of front wing damage as well on top of that. but he's, he's.
Oh,
Oh
Tillman!
no!
Oh,
Oh, I was gonna say Predators is still sticking. He's keeping a good gap to the guys behind him, and Tooman has just helped Predators out a great deal there. He's rammed into the back of Division, lost an end plate for good measure. That's put Division on the back foot as well, as now Jib Jab in the Ferrari is going to try and make 2 moves up here. I think he's going to get it done, and that's really unfortunate for Division, as well as Tooman really just outbreaking himself. He had a really good chance at P6, and as you say, Mitzi, it looks as though Racy's trying to get the move done. Can't quite do it just yet, but Tooman running wide at the final corner. He's obviously suffering with that loss of downforce, and it looks like Riggsy's going to have the run into turn 1. I don't think Tooman's going to fight it terribly hard, considering he's missing an end plate. But yeah, that's really helped Predators out. That's giving him another 2 seconds on top of what he had as a gap to P7. Jib Jab as well, benefiting from it up into P7 in the Ferrari himself. Division unfortunately losing out, but not massively in terms of position. He's obviously just lost the 1. The top 3, 4, 5, 6 really remaining the same for the last few laps now. It seems as though it's kind of settled down between the top 3, although having said that, Race Roller is just over 5/10 off McEwen, so I wonder if we are going to see him go for a move down the back straight. He's got a decent amount of ERS, but McEwen's got slightly more. I don't think he's going to be close enough as Rigsy picks up a time penalty. As well, of course, penalty is going to be a factor in this race, as well as Race Roller had a little look at McEwen, but once again, he's not going to commit to the move. Division is within 6/10 of Jib Jab, but he's got no ERS, so I don't think he's going to go for the move either down the back straight.
Just wanted to point out, Clock's looking for the move on Tooman. Tooman's all over the place, obviously with that wind damage. Looking for the move, I think, around the outside, but the hairpin breaks pretty late. Oh, stopped it too much. Tooman keeps it once again, but Tooman's really struggling with that wind damage.
Yeah, it seemed pretty tentative really from Clock, not wanting to make the move, as we got an alpha spinning yet again. I think that's bland again. Having a bit of a torrid time, I think, with the spinning. It did seem a bit tentative though from Clock. Didn't really fully commit to the move, which maybe he could have done, given that he's got the downforce advantage on the racing point. But he's obviously got the time to his side.
Oh no, Harry,
unfortunately.
Colker's AI as well. Sorry to interrupt, but Colker's AI getting right in the way in the middle sector.
That's alright.
Race
Well, that's more important than what I was going to say.
Yeah, Race Roller's dropped down to DRS now as well.
Yeah, that's really unfortunate for Race Roller. I think that's a chance of P2 maybe out the window, although having said that, I think he's done what he did with Kevin, and I think he's just gone through the detection zone within a second of the Ferrari of McEwen, which he has. So he's going to get the DRS, so I wonder if he can pull himself back into that second window. I was going to say, unfortunately for Tooman, he's outside the points now. He was in a really good position to try and get up to around P6, but it's not going to be for him this afternoon. Predators as well, keeping that gap within around about 3 seconds. So he, despite obviously having that collision with Ranger, he's looking pretty solid for P6 as we start the final lap then. Division, it's just that lack of ERS, I think, which is costing Division a chance at Jib Jab, and he goes very deep into the hairpin. It's going to put him on the back foot. Riggs, I think, he's going to have a go here. Quite possibly, although Division did make up for it with a pretty nice exit out of the hairpin. It nearly brought Riggs into play. The battle for P18 is continuing as well. Midsley JH and Sean Gregory still getting at it. Yeah, you can see on the mini-map. As Ranger as well is just catching up to Colker's AI. Just about gets out of the way. Southerners as well actually has been reading in Ranger a little bit in this last lap or two. I think the top 3 is all but sorted on track, given that Race Roll is out of McEwen's DRS and McEwen's out of Kevin's. Provided obviously there's no mishaps after that. So I think we'll go back and focus on what we've been focusing on for quite a lot of this race now. Is the battle for P7. These last few laps really have been filled with this battle, which is between the Ferrari of Jib Jab, the Red Bull of Division, and the McLaren of Rigsy. Clock not out of it, but I think he's just given himself a bit too much work to do there. So are we going to see Division going for the move?
I wanted to say as well, people in the chat want to get their votes in for the driver of the day. It might be a bit early.
That's a good
Your
point. No,
thoughts?
that's a good point. As Kevin's going to cross the line to win the Chinese Grand Prix here. McEwen crosses second. Race Roller promoted up to P2 after penalties. Just under 7/10 a gap at the end. Kevin winning the race though, so Kevin making up for a few poorer races at the start of the season. He's got his debut win in SLR, so well done to him. Race Roller on debut as well, P2. Predators is going to cross the line after that wing damage, P6. P7 is Jib Jab, 8th Division Clock. Goes right up to P7 though after penalties. Jib Jab down to P8. Division Knight Tooman, despite having a missing end plate, has managed to get P9. So penalties really playing to his advantage as Rigsy drops down out of the points into P11. So unfortunate for him. Liam crosses the line P12. Monkey 13th. Bland in the other Alfa Romeo is P14. He had a bit of a afternoon to forget, it has to be said. Zenon P15. Jitto 16th in the Williams again. After the highs of last week, a pretty low one this week, P16 for him. Owen's going to cross the line 17th. Quiet afternoon for him. Not really too much to comment on for his race. Comes home P17 though. And
Sean Gregory,
Sean Gregory, they're still fighting. Is it going to be Sean Gregory to get the position? But JH isn't going to give up on it. As they cross the line, it is going to be Sean Gregory 18th, JH 19th. But it is going to be Kevin, his maiden win in SLR after the disappointment of Australia and Vietnam, really, it has to be said. He gets the win, so congratulations to him. Second place Race Roller on debut in the Renault. Some very strong pace from him. Very promising performance. Third, McEwen, so he keeps the points ticking over in the Ferrari's second podium in as many races after coming P2 last time out in Vietnam. Fourth was SLR Ranger in the Red Bull. Pretty quiet afternoon from him after the first few laps. Fifth, Southerners, really quiet afternoon from him, it has to be said. I'm going to say that for half the field, I think. But yeah, Southerners kept it clean, kept it consistent. Comes home P5, another P5 finish for him. I believe he was fifth last week as well. So again, solid points for him. Sixth was Predators. So despite that wing damage, good recovery. Or, well, good. He managed to keep the pace and come home sixth. Clock from the back. Didn't qualify, but he made up for it in the race. Comes home P7. Jib Jab 8th. That's where he started. And Tooman 9th. Despite missing an end plate, he comes home P9, making the most of his lack of penalties. Division rounds out your top 10 in the Red Bull. He, as well, had 6 seconds of penalties, but it didn't quite lose him the points. Fastest lap, as well, just to point out, went to SR Kolka with a 26.6. What a lap from Kolka. It was actually Jitto in the Williams, 31.2. So then, have we got?
I've sent
who have we got in the party?
invites. Just got Race Roll at the moment. The say about the driver of the day. I think Clark, very strong contender driver of the day, or even Race Roller or Kevin. Race Roller, his first race, showed a really good performance, and Kevin coming through, getting his first win of the season.
Okay, we got Race Roller. I think hopefully McEwen will join if we invite him. Not sure about Kevin.
Send another invite.
Obviously, I don't want to make any assumptions, but he's Danish, so I don't know if his English is going to be amazing. Perhaps he doesn't want to give an interview. I don't know. We'll give it a minute if neither of them are in. Did we get a driver of the day, Mitzi? Did you see? Or
Yeah, I've got a couple of Freeman voted for Kevin, but a couple of people voted for Clock as driver of the day. So I'm going to Clock.
I think
driver of the day.
We'll get Clock in the party then. I think if we've got no one else to interview, we'll get him in. Cheers. Right then. I think hopefully McEwen will join. I'll give him another invite and see.
I'll send another one as well.
All right,
make
well, we might as well
sure
start.
make sure to
Yeah,
include
good
your
point.
audio, race roller, if you have a mic.
Nice. Right then, I'll let you do the interviews then, Mitzi, if you want.
Yeah, sure. Well, I'll start off with you, race roller. Really strong performance. To be fair, really consistent in quality. I can't exactly remember where you qualified, unfortunately, but I know you did very well, especially for your first race, even as a reserve. Strong result. I mean, in the race as well, it seemed like you dropped off sometimes from Kevin and McEwen, but yeah, on penalties you take second. What's your thoughts on that race? Yeah, exactly, mate. And like you said, you felt like you could have taken the win. Do you think that was just down to being held up a couple of times, or your own mistakes, or what happened?
Merck says in the chat that he can't hear you. Sorry for interrupting.
Oh, race if you go onto the party, make sure you tick the box to include your audio. If you go onto the
Should
party,
be at the top.
there'll be a box at the top saying include my audio. Just tick that.
Right, I've ticked it.
All right. Yeah. All right. I'll just ask again anyway. Yeah. Strong result. First race. Really good quality. Like I said throughout quality, he was really consistent. I saw a lot of people making mistakes, but he was keeping it very clean. Made it to Q3, and then you had a really strong race, just missing out on the win due to penalties. Yeah, just run us through. What do you think of the race?
Thought it was alright. Quite very enjoyed it. Nearly missed it up completely on lap 3, nearly spinning it out of the turn into long straight. Probably could have won if I didn't get held up by clock, and I think it was Coca's AI who held me up in the second to last lap, which cost me quite a bit of time. If that didn't happen, I think I would have been able to win. But apart from that, I'm quite happy with second. First race, it's pretty reasonable, I think.
Yeah, of course, mate. Very strong result considering for your first race. And if you do have the chance to race next week, have you done much sample? Would you be looking forward to race there?
I've done it. I like the track, Sandvoort, but I think it's not one of my best tracks, and also I think it's going to be terrible for racing because there's maybe one corner where you can overtake, so it's just going to get trained for most of the race. But if I do get in to race again, I'll gladly accept that, and yeah, I'll be looking forward to it.
Yeah, I hope you're looking forward to see you race one, mate. Done very well, even so. Debut race, P2. Should be very happy. Well done.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Well done to Racer. Sorry, Maisie, I'm just going to interrupt because I've just got a message from McEwen. He said he wasn't feeling up to the interview, but he's just said that he was unlucky to be to catch up to Tooman, sort of when he did. He felt that kind of really lost him the chance at the win there, or lost him, the time that he had over Kevin. But he was pleased with the podium, and obviously congratulated both Race Roller and Kevin. But he's looking forward to next week, so he says on to next week. So hopefully for him, he will have I would say a better performance, but obviously there's nothing to be sniffed at a podium. Hopefully for his sake, though, he can get that top step next week.
Yeah, Kevin just sent me a message as well. He said his mic's unfortunately not working, but he said he's very happy with the result. He doesn't really like China as well, so he wasn't expecting to take his first win here. But even so, well done, Kevin.
Yeah, well done, Kevin.
And anyway, moving on to the driver of the day, Clock. Obviously, you missed out on qualifying, but you showed really strong race pace. And considering you was a pit stop down to the front runners who just pitted, you're still kicking the minus straight at a very good pace. Like, what would you think of that race overall?
I mean, I really enjoyed it. Obviously, if you do qualifying, it's not very fun to start last. But when I don't do qualifying, yeah, I mean, of course I'd rather start higher up. But when I can't make qualifying, I can still enjoy starting last because it was a very fun race, and I was a bit cautious on the first lap, just trying to not get damaged, and there was some big carnage around me. But then I just ran my race, and I mean, it's like always. I mean, I'm running around. I'm pretty consistent in lap times. I'm pretty good with tires. I'm just managing the race well, and then obviously helping Preds as well. Holding up Ranga perfectly, then letting him get into the DRS and within the chance of overtaking, and then yeah, well, obviously I pitted, so I wasn't there when they collided, so that's not my story to comment on, but yeah, I really enjoyed the race, and then obviously no penalties as well, so I got gifted 7th together with that, so I think it's 6 very good points considering I started 20th, so yeah, I'm happy.
Yeah, exactly. You should be very happy. You should have a really good pace, like I said, even though the front runner's coming out, you were still keeping them honest, to be honest. You should have, very good pace throughout the race. So, well done, Clark. I was just want to ask Roller as well, if you are racing next week in Zandvoort, what's your thoughts on the track?
Well, I've only done my career mode there, so but I liked it there, but I don't know yet. I'm just gonna have to see what I think of it when I start practicing, really, because I like the track itself, but my pace is.
Yeah. Well, very well done. Well done to you, Roller. Well done as well to driver of the day, Clock, and also well done to Kevin and Kieran on the rest of the podium finishes.
Yeah, well done, Clock, for driver of the day. And so I think that is pretty much it for tonight. So just to round out, Kevin winning his first SLR race here at China, so huge congratulations to him. Second was Race Roller on debut, so again another big congratulations to him, and also well done to McEwen getting another podium to add to his collection. That was your top 3 here from the Chinese Grand Prix, and I believe we might see a change in lead for the championship, although I think Ranga's 4th place might just keep him ahead for now. But be sure to tune in obviously next week and throughout the rest of the weekend to keep up to date with the rest of the action here in SLR. But that is all we've got time for tonight. It's been a pleasure, Midzi, it has to be said, for your debut as well.
Yeah, thanks, mate. It's been very enjoyable. We enjoyed that. Lovely.
Yeah, and thanks to everyone for tuning in as well. That is it. Thank you and good night.